Everyone I talk to is like, I don't know what to do, when to do it. One person says this, another person says that. Then I also have things in my personal life and I'm exhausted and I'm not sleeping and there's just all this information and it's just too much. It's just too much. Overwhelm is just the temporary mess of transformation. Eventually that chaos is going to get organized, but only if you stay in motion and you don't give up during the in-between seasons, during transition. So ask yourself, am I overwhelmed or am I finally outgrowing the old systems, the old me that no longer serve the woman that I am becoming? Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Metabolism and Menopause Podcast. My name is Stephanie, and I am your host and CEO of Vitality OET. We are a women's nutrition, health, and fitness coaching company that focuses predominantly on women's hormones, particularly as they start going through perimenopause and onwards. We know that you start experiencing so many changes in this time of your life, whether it's the hot flashes, the night sweats, irritability, brain fog, or waking around the middle. That seems to have come out of absolutely nowhere, despite you not changing anything. So you go back to those tried and true methods of cutting calories, cutting carbs, doing a bunch of cardio, yet it feels like nothing is working. You're putting in all this effort and you are just moving backwards. But we know now that your body is inherently different now that you've gone through these hormonal changes. So our mission here at Vitality is to really help you understand how your body changes in this time of your life, so you can reach those health and fitness goals, feel in control and at home in your body again, live a life full of vitality, and really understand how to take care of this new body of yours. So today we are tackling all things overwhelm because everyone I talk to is like, I don't know what to do, when to do it. One person says this, another person says that. Then I also have things in my personal life and I'm exhausted and I'm not sleeping and there's just all this information and it's just too much. It's just too much. We deal with this with women in coaching too. They start and it's like, I just don't know where to start. There's so much information. I don't know where to go. And overwhelm isn't necessarily a bad emotion, even though that's what we're always told. It's just telling you that there's something powerful going on. When we can change our mindset around overwhelm, it can be one of the most empowering tools and feelings that we have, which sounds crazy, I know. But what it means is you're stretching your current capacity. We are wanting to realize this is not weakness. This is not failure. It is feedback from your body. And understanding how to use that feedback for your benefit is going to transform everything for you. So we want to make sure that you take this as not your sign to stop or to give up or that it's not right. It can be a sign that you are becoming something new. You are becoming a new person. And that is really, really exciting. So what does overwhelm actually mean? Because we always think it's a bad thing. All it is your nervous system signaling to you. It's not a personal flaw, right? Overwhelm is going to show up in 4 big spots, typically 4 scenarios. So the first is that you've reached the edge of your current capacity. So think of your brain like a cup. Overwhelm happens when more water is being poured into that cup than what that cup can hold. But that does not mean that you're broken or that you can't do it, right? What it means is that you're standing at the threshold of growth. When we surpass this, we get to grow that cup. We get to be able to take in more. We are becoming a new structure, a new person. This is where expansion is possible, is where that point of overwhelm is, because it's telling us, this is as much as I've known how to handle up until this point, or learn. This is how much I know how to do right now. When overwhelm comes, we're just stretching that, which is exciting because capacity is not a fixed thing. You can stretch it, you can build it, you can reinforce it over time. It's just like muscle or lung capacity. When you train, your muscles have a capacity to lift heavier. When you focus on training aerobically, your lungs can actually hold more air, right? So we are not at our limit. You are actually being invited to stretch that limit. That's what overwhelm is, which is really excited. You have now met where that threshold is. We're about to surpass it. And so then we break through that threshold. And then eventually that's like our new normal, right? We're good. Now we can handle that. The new roles at work. Maybe it's learning a new skill, whatever it might be. And then we're going to reach that ceiling, that threshold again. There's going to be pressure, right? We're going to be overwhelmed again. And then we're going to bust through it. And now we're at a new version of ourselves too, right? Think of motherhood. Oh my gosh, when we think that we have it figured out, things change. And all of a sudden we go from, having a little baby to now having a little toddler, and what you can handle changes, right? You're being exposed to newness, which brings me into part number 2, which is you're doing something new or uncomfortable. Overwhelm isn't always with like the amount of capacity that you can hold, that threshold, right? Of that water being poured into the cup. It can be about something completely new, of something new being poured into the cup. And your nervous system is going to light up like crazy anytime you do something that you have not done before. Like starting a new business, changing your nutrition, saying no more. So instilling those boundaries that can feel scary, right? Investing in yourself, asking for help instead of trying to do it on your own. When you go from like not pregnant to pregnant, very scary, something new. You're like, what is happening? And the overwhelm gets crazy just thinking about stuff, right? And then baby comes, you're like, oh, I can handle it. I'm good. And then you start anticipating the next thing, or things start to change. And so every stage is something new and something uncomfortable. And your nervous system is going to light up like crazy. And this doesn't mean like it's not safe, because at first that's what your nervous system is going to tell you, even if it's good for you, right? The first time that you exercise, you're probably going to feel a bit anxious, a little bit overwhelmed, not knowing where to start. And then you start going to the gym and now it's your new normal and it's great. Even though we know going to the gym is good for you, exercise is great for you, right? But your nervous system's going to light up and it can make you feel overwhelmed. That unfamiliarity creates tension, which is a normal part of building a new identity, because you are always going to act based on what you believe to be true about yourself. Always. So this is where self-sabotage comes in, because you are always going to revert back to who you believe you are. You're going to act like that person. So this is where that tension, that unfamiliarity of doing new things can be overwhelming, but it's necessary for you to experience, for you to do those things so that you become a person who does those things. Because then when things get challenging, you are always going to act based on what you believe to be true about yourself. So if you don't believe you're a person who works out, if you don't believe that you're a nurturing person, a patient person, guess what? During times of stress, when this tension appears, you're going to revert back to not being patient, to not being a person who works out, to whatever it might be, right? Because you are always going to act based on what you believe to be true about yourself. So this tension, that unfamiliarity, the practicing of doing new things until it becomes a habit, a normal, a part of who you are, there's going to be tension. And then once we break through that tension, now that is who we are. And we are confident that I'm a person who does this. I'm a person who does that. I'm a person who is XYZ, right? So the mindset shift for this one is, this feels hard because I haven't done it before, not because I can't. So overwhelm is not because you can't do it. It's because you've never done it before. So again, we are stretching that capacity. It's a new thing. It is very common to feel overwhelmed when you are doing new things, like tracking for the first time. It can be very overwhelming. Now all of a sudden you do it and it's mindless. It's so simple. But when you're doing things for the first time, it's going to feel overwhelming. Doesn't mean that you can't. It just means you haven't done it long enough yet. The next one is your internal systems need an upgrade. So if you keep trying to do more using old patterns, you will always hit a wall. Always. So this is like, if you have an old flip phone, it is not going to work on it's not going to work right because the softwares keep updating, right? And so if the hard drive, the phone is not compatible with the new software, that phone will not work, right? We are the phone. We need to upgrade who we are to match the new systems that we're trying to put in place, right? Because otherwise we can't grow. So overwhelm might just be your brain's way of saying, I need better systems. I need more rest. I need to process my emotions, not suppress them. This is actually wonderful news because it shows you where to optimize. When you are feeling overwhelmed, it is a clue that we probably need to address something. Maybe it's better boundaries. Maybe it's better delegation and support. Maybe it's clearer planning because we get overwhelmed because we don't have a plan. Maybe it's saying fewer yeses to the things that drain you. Overwhelm is not a call to quit. Overwhelm is a call to restructure. So your mindset around this can be, my brain is asking me to build new scaffolding for some bigger life. that I am stepping into. That is exciting. It is a sign that like, hey, I need to adjust so that I can keep building, right? I already have a solid foundation. Now I'm building, and now I have to add more to that. I am building more structures, better patterns, so that I can have the life that I'm looking for. Maybe it's the life that God has always wanted you to have. You need to have the systems in place in order to receive what He wants to give you. It's also, the fourth one is that it's a normal part of expanding identity, which is a very big theme here. Any time that you grow, whether it be physically, whether it be emotionally, whether it be spiritually, professionally even, you're going to feel tension. It's like moving into the house. You have boxes everywhere. It is freaking chaos, but that chaos means that you are moving forward to settle into this new version of you, this new house, right? That you get to enjoy. Overwhelm is just the temporary mess of transformation. Eventually that chaos is going to get organized, but only if you stay in motion and you don't give up during the in-between seasons, during transition. Overwhelm is always high during seasons of transition. And we talk about this with our coaching clients all the time because overwhelm is messy, but it's the mess before that breakthrough. So we talk about, we start the coaching journey. There's immediate overwhelm because it's something new. We settle into a good rhythm. We're healing. Maybe we're reverse dieting. We're at maintenance. We're doing great. And now we're transitioning into a fat loss phase. Boom, overwhelm goes up. Now we're nervous because things are changing. It's new, right? It's a different way of structuring. So now we have to update our structures, our mindsets. We're doing something different. All those things that we talked about are going to increase our overwhelm. So there's overwhelm at the beginning in that transitional season. And then we get into a good groove and we're good. And then boom, now we got to come out of it, take a diet break, or maybe we're reversing out of it, or something happens in your life that now we got to bring up your calories. And so now overwhelm goes up again. But this overwhelm will also happen during life transitions. We're talking divorce, kids moving out of the house. We're talking about big financial changes, job switches. Maybe we're having, some grief and trauma. Maybe we're taking care of loved ones and they're passing away. Those are also moments of transition where overwhelm is going to go up. And so this is where we need to see, okay, we have all these points of tension, these points of transition. You're going to have overwhelm there. You are going to have overwhelm there. And that is not a sign necessarily to stop. It's a sign to address, see, where do I have to reassess things? Do I have to say no to some more things right now? Are there things I should be saying yes to? Is there more rest that I need to do? Is this a season of push or a season of pulling back? Sometimes it's new and uncomfortable, right? Like for myself, after my mom passed away, major overwhelm. I was also in the point of rebuilding the online business, and it was really picking up. And I also had my in-person clinic, and that was a lot of change at the same time, and got out of a relationship, was navigating being single with no mom. Like it was a lot for me. And so we have to realize that it's not always a bad thing. Overwhelm is telling you to reassess things. And also it's that transitional period. And sometimes that transitional period is just like learning what a new life looks like. And also it's usually the point before a breakthrough too. Like we know this, we see it all the time, especially when we're in a phase of growing where we're trying to improve physically or emotionally or spiritually or professionally. There's always going to be tension there, but it's temporary until we bust through that ceiling. Overwhelm is messy, but it's the mess before the breakthrough. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is the two big ways that we see women misreading overwhelm that negatively impacts their progress or negatively impacts their life or gets them to fall off the wagon. So the first one is when they're overwhelmed, they tell themselves, I must be doing something wrong. Who has said those words to themselves? Let that fall into their brain, right? That internal dialogue might sound something like, why can't I handle this? It shouldn't feel this hard. Other women make it look easy. What's wrong with me? Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Those words have absolutely gone through my head multiple times at multiple parts of my life, right? And here's what's really happening. You're applying a new level of responsibility, visibility, or change with that old wiring still running that we talked about. Your nervous system is firing off alerts, not because you're failing, but because you're starting to leave your comfort zone. That's good. We don't grow in our comfort zone. We grow when we're expanding that capacity, which comes with the side effect of overwhelm. The truth is, overwhelm is not telling you it's a mistake. Overwhelm is just data. It shows you where your current mindset is, where your systems are, where your self-talk, where those things are too small for the life that you are building. So that dialogue, the way that you're like adding those things like, okay, this, because I'm overwhelmed, means these things, you are playing too small for the life that you want to be living, the person that you want to become. So instead, we have to look at this, instead of saying, I'm doing this wrong, they make it look so easy, I'm not cut out for this, we say, I'm learning how to hold more. And my mind is just catching up. Because it takes time to convince ourselves that we are worthy, that we are able, that we are capable. And overwhelm is showing us that we're at that point where now if we keep going, we are going to be able to handle this. We're going to become this new person on our health and fitness journey. The other thing that we see that people misread overwhelm as is, I need to wait until life calms down. Who has said that? It's not the right time. I'll do it when I have more time. Let me just get through this week, this month, this season first. Once I get past this one thing, then I'll finally get back on track. Who has said that? Myself, for sure. So what's really happening here is you're hoping that external calm will fix the internal chaos in your life. But in reality, life is never going to slow down long enough. And no external circumstances are going to fix the internal stuff. If you want to wait until everything is perfect, you are going to end up being in that same spot waiting forever. You're going to stay stuck or get into a worse position than you're already in. So the truth is, calm is not a condition that you wait for. It is a skill that you create. Women who master this learn to take aligned action despite the fact that it's messy, despite the fact that there is chaos right now, despite the fact that it is busy, not after it's cleaned up. Because if you learn how to do the things in the midst of chaos, which is my favorite time to have people join coaching, because if you can master and figure out how to navigate the crazy times, the busy times, the times where you're overwhelmed, we expand your capacity. So that way, when things slow down even a little bit, it feels like a cakewalk, and it makes maintaining this lifestyle, this new person that you want to be, so much easier. And then you can maintain that for the rest of your life. We don't want it to be easy. We want you to experience challenging things with us, because otherwise, what are you going to do when those times pop up? Go, oh, I just got to get through this season. I'll just wait till later. That's not a good place to be in. So instead of saying, I need to wait until things settle, you say, this is the perfect time to practice, to stay grounded, to achieve XYZ in the middle of chaos. So the real cost of misreading overwhelm and thinking that it's like not the right time or that you're not good enough is that you end up delaying your growth. Something that could have already been yours, you just keep delaying, keep delaying, keep delaying. You'll self-sabotage. You'll think that you can't handle it when in reality, you're right at the cusp of evolving, but you retreat back. And every time you feel that tension, you pull back. So you never get to break through that wall. You never get to bust through that ceiling. So you end up shrinking to stay safe instead of rising to expand, even though shrinking to stay safe, you know it's not what you want, but it's predictable, it's certain, it's comfortable. Even though you don't want it, you will shrink to stay safe instead of rising to expand. The new belief that you need to instill in yourself is overwhelm is not a stop sign. It is a checkpoint on a path to becoming a more resilient, resourceful, rooted, better version of myself, the woman that I was created to be. So what if overwhelm is really just evidence of growth? What if it's the green light and not the red flag? We've been taught that when we feel overwhelmed that we should stop. But sometimes that tension is actually your next level knocking on the door, waiting for you to open it up. Just like having sore muscles after strength training, overwhelm is a sign that you are building something new. So ask yourself, am I overwhelmed or am I finally outgrowing the old systems, the old me that no longer serve the woman that I am becoming? And that can be really challenging because sometimes that comes along with friends, routines, right? Relationships, habits, and it's comfortable. But are you overwhelmed or are you finally outgrowing the old and making room for the new? Are you letting go of what is good to make room for what is better? That has been a very big theme in my life right now. Let go of what is good to make room for what is better. Because we can only have so much in a capacity, right? Like we have capacity, we can grow, but sometimes we have to get rid of stuff to make room for better, right? And so overwhelm is this friction between the old self and your future self. It's the tension of being the part of you that wants to stay safe and the part of you that is ready for more. Friction is growth. You're not confused, you're evolving. You're not behind, you're refining. It's not overload. It is an opportunity to be more emotionally, mentally, and spiritually equipped to be this person and live the life that you were supposed to be living. Overwhelm is not a signal to retreat. It is a cue to adapt. So instead of asking, how do I get rid of this feeling? Because we want to get rid of discomfort as quickly as possible. Ask yourself, what systems do I need to tweak? What belief am I holding that is making this feel heavier? Where can I soften instead of just trying to force? Think of overwhelm as that request from your future self telling you, upgrade. I have bigger plans for you. Please step through this door. Please step through this door. Everything you're waiting for is on the other side. Overwhelm is a refinement tool, not a punishment. It reveals the places where you might need more support. You might need more boundaries, more recovery time, a new rhythm. It's not the enemy. It is giving you a clue to the map of where you need to go. So overwhelm is not here to break you. It is here to show you where to build, where to reinforce, where to grow. And so we want to go into some affirmations because saying stuff out loud makes it real. For me, I find words so powerful. I find when I verbalize things out loud, even when I'm by myself, it validates how I'm feeling. I get very emotional when it happens, especially when I use certain verbiage, and it's very empowering and it makes it real. And so many of us are afraid to speak things out loud because we feel uncomfortable with saying kind things about ourselves or acknowledging that there is some things that need to change. And so you can write them out on sticky notes. You can say it out loud. But some examples that are really great are, this is what growth feels like, and I'm capable of navigating it. Overwhelm is a signal, not a stop sign. My capacity is stretching and I am becoming someone who can hold more. I don't need to do everything, just the next right thing. So a great activity that I think is awesome for you to try is answer these two questions. Where in your life are you mistaking expansion for failure? What area in your life do you feel overwhelmed? And how are you mistaking that for failure instead of expansion? And the second question is, what would change if you saw overwhelm as a sign of capacity building instead of collapse? How would that change your perspective and how you would go along the rest of your day, how you would feel, how you would act, how you would talk? For me, it's a flip from feeling like a victim and weak and lost and vulnerable to strong and empowered, capable, excited. And that's really what has gotten me through some really, really hard times. I feel like I'm going to cry. Try and choke this back. So there are a few strategies that you can use, and I'll share my stories with this on how to use that overwhelmed feeling for good. Because when you're in the thick of overwhelm, it can be really hard. And it's hard to navigate, and you're like, yes, Steph, this is fine and dandy. I get it. It can be super empowering. But when you're in the middle of that negative spiral, when you feel like there is just so much on your shoulders, when you are feeling lost, when you feel like there is no hope, when you are in a dark place and you just want things to just be done. You just want it to be over. You just want things to be back to the way they were, simpler. You're just exhausted. How do you navigate those feelings? Because I am not a stranger to those. So there's a few things that you can do. And the first thing you need to do is you need to be able to zoom out. And it's tough because if you're too in it, it's very easy to negative spiral because that's all you see. So being able to name what that root is gives you power because you really understand then what's creating that pressure. So you can start to respond more logically rather than emotionally, more strategically. And so we want to zoom out before that spiral if you can, because when we're overwhelmed, it makes everything feel urgent, even when it's not. Your brain loses perspective when it's stressed out. It tells you everything matters right now, even though that's false. So the solution is trying to create some psychological distance there. We want to step outside, name the real issue, and ask yourself specifically, what exactly is overwhelming me in this moment? Is this a mindset issue? Is it a logistical issue? Is it too many tabs open, like mentally, even virtually, right? Like actually seeing that. Often it's not that you have too much to do. It's that you have not paused to prioritize what matters most right now. So I like to do a brain dump where I list out everything on my to-do list. I have it on my computer, but I also like to do this on paper as well. I find it very helpful. Everything that you need to do, and I categorize it either by color when it's on my laptop or in different columns. And so box 1 is urgent, needs to be done today. Column 2 is it's important, but does not need to be done in this second. And then the third column is I can delete, delegate, or delay. Not a huge thing, right? And so that allows you to then go into the next step, which is chunking it into 1-inch tiles. Because when we look at our big goal, whether it's things on our to-do list, whether it's self-care, whether it's our health and fitness journey, whatever it might be, big goals are very overwhelming. What we need is some tiny wins to rewire confidence because we get these little dopamine hits that improves our motivation, which by the way gets worse during perimenopause and menopause. So we need more of these mini wins. Our brain thrives on completion, not complexity, completion. And so we want to break down our focus into little micro wins. So what's the next one step that I can do right now within the next 10 minutes? Not, I'm going to fix my hormones, but okay, I'm going to drink water and go outside for 5 minutes. Much more manageable. Check mark. Love it. This is why we do lots of to-do lists with clients and habit tracking because it helps build momentum. You get the dopamine hit. It makes it easier to keep going. You build that momentum. When momentum's going, it's harder to stop. It's easier to keep going. It requires less effort to keep going. Maybe it's not, focusing on, I'm going to lose 30 pounds, but I'm going to eat protein at breakfast today. Really break it down and simplify it. And the reason this works is because you shift from spinning in indecision and overwhelm because you're like, I want to lose weight. And then all of these things just like go through your mind of what you should be doing. And you're consuming all this content and information. And it's a lot. And then it leads to indecision. So if we do this down and break it down, it helps you take empowered action, which builds that momentum. Each step is going to bring that dopamine up. You're going to feel great. You're going to build that momentum as opposed to just like spinning your tires and getting nowhere. And you're just like in this cloud of doom. So what you have to say to yourself in this part is like, I don't need to do it all. I just need to do the next right thing. The most important part is regulating before you react. So honestly, I'd put this first before the other ones. And I'll tell you a little bit story about something that happened to me not that long ago. And the reason you want to regulate before you react is because a dysregulated nervous system cannot make empowered decisions. Who has ever been angry or really upset and then felt really good about the decisions they made in the moment? Not me. Definitely not me. You end up looking back and going, oh, I may have overreacted, or oh, I wish I hadn't eaten that thing. Oh, I probably could have made a better decision. Shouldn't have said that, right? When you're overwhelmed, that stress hormone cortisol is going to spike and your brain shifts into survival mode. When you are in survival mode, that is not the time to plan, to problem solve, to push harder. We need to regulate first so we can actually access the part of our brain that does the logical thinking. Because there's like an analogy that I read in a book once that I loved. and it was called flipping your lid. So like you literally have your brain on top, and this is like the part that your brain can logically think through things. It's not emotional, and you make good decisions. When you're in a stress state, you literally, it's like you flip your lid. That portion of your brain is not accessible. So you literally cannot logically think until you calm down. Have you tried having a conversation with someone who's very angry, perhaps a teenager? How well does that go? Not great. When you talk to them, when they're more calm, they're so much more rational, right? They also don't say really mean things to you, because teenagers say mean things to you all the time. So we want to regulate first and then act. And so for myself, I like to lay on the floor, feet up, focus on breathing. So I slow down my breathing rate, my heart rate. For myself, I also pray. I find that very helpful for me. I'm a woman of faith, so that's important to me. And I find that very, very helpful to bring my heart rate down, my breathing rate. I get that stress hormone down, and then I'm able to think more logically. You could also try tapping. You could do humming, more vagal nerve stimulation stuff, putting cold water on your face. And so this is where you want to think, I calm before I climb. And so for myself, not that long ago, like our business is expanding. We have some very exciting things coming soon. That's going to involve lab work access and access to more doctors and just be able to do everything in-house. And I'm so, so excited. We're starting a certification. I'm writing a book. There's a lot happening behind the scenes right now, and it's exciting. But there was a day that I sat down and looked at my to-do list, and I just started panicking. I started panicking. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much to do. I don't know what to do. And like, I was just spiraling. And I was like crying. Like it was a lot for me, even though it's exciting times. And so I laid on the floor, feet up. I prayed about it. I was focusing on my breathing, calmed myself down, and then just reminded myself that I prayed for this. Like I'm literally getting what I asked for, what I prayed for. It's just coming all at once. And it looks different than what I anticipated. But that's okay. That does not mean it's a bad thing. That does not mean I cannot handle it. Because I truly believe that God does not give you anything that you cannot handle. And I feel like that's not just on the negative side of things where he won't give you more struggle than you can handle. He also won't bless you with things unless he knows that you are in a place where you can receive it and you're not going to lose it. And so he is now giving me all these opportunities for growth that I am so excited for. But he knows I can handle it. They're coming now because I've become a new person. I'm at this new level. My capacity has expanded to be able to handle all of these things that he's giving me, which is fantastic. So for me, that's a really big part of my life and how I'm able to like regulate my stuff. But it wasn't always like that, right? It was very easy to negative spiral and be like, oh, I can't handle this. I've never done this before. I don't know. I've never written a book before. I've never created a certification before. There's all these things that I've never done before that we're working on right now, which is super exciting. And so it's easy to get caught up. So learning to figure out what this overwhelm is and how to handle it is really important. And the other thing that you can do, which I think there's 2 more steps here that I like to get women to work through, is auditing your inputs. So overwhelm is often less about what you're actually doing and about what you're absorbing, what you're consuming. So you have to ask yourself, what noise am I letting in? Am I consuming more content than I'm able to apply? Who's in my ear? Is it marketers? Is it mentors? Is it my coach? Who am I listening to? Whose voice is in the back of my head? Who do I need to create more space with? What do I need to like quote unquote detox from? Right? So we need to pay attention to everything that's coming in, the noise, the kind of music that we listen to. What are we scrolling through on social media? What are the kinds of conversations that we have? Are we watching terrible things on the news? Are we doing things that bring us joy and look like self-care? Or are we doing too much for everybody else? Because this was a very good question that someone asked me after our call was, how do you know when your overwhelm is burnout versus like building your capacity? Building your capacity is going to benefit you, right? Is you are growing. You are becoming a better person. That's this new version of yourself. Versus, are you saying yes to things that are draining you? Are you saying yes to things that are not great for you, that you leave feeling terrible, exhausted? When you are thinking about inputs, how are they affecting you? in how you can show up. Because the first thing that people do is they start not exercising. They don't want to put their feet up. They don't want to do some deep breathing. They rush their own meals. They're saying yes to everybody else and skipping things and not giving enough to themselves. That's the burnout side of things. When you're overwhelmed there, we are looking at why am I overwhelmed? Because I am doing too much for other people and I'm not filling up my own cup. My cup is overflowing with other people's demands as opposed to things that are going to improve my capacity for myself. Because if you take care of you and your self-care and you set boundaries, guess what? Your capacity increases for them being able to help people afterwards. But you can't do that without taking care of you and your health and what you can actually handle. And so that's where you got to figure out that in between and audit, where is the overwhelm actually coming from? What are the inputs? What's demanding your time? What are you giving your time to? That's what you need to pay attention to. So I pay big attention to the podcasts that I consume. I pay big attention to the music that I listen to. I pay attention to the TV shows that we watch. I pay attention to how I spend my time, who I'm talking to, the relationships that I have. Those things make a very big difference. When there are accounts out there that make me feel terrible, boom, unsubscribe, don't follow them anymore. When there are relationships that are not serving me for this season, create more distance there. Making sure that I am doing things that are going to benefit me, my family, the people that I serve, but without taking away from what I need as well. It's really important. So your brain really struggles to build clarity in chaos. So we need to edit those inputs, pay attention to the structure, the habits, how much are you supporting yourself to get smarter here. And then we need to affirm the upgrade. You are not breaking down, you are breaking through. When you are in a feeling of overwhelm, maybe because you are doing too much for everybody else, you stop, you analyze your inputs, what is overwhelming you, right? All the things that we've talked about already. And you're not breaking down. This is a breakthrough for you to be like, I need better boundaries. I need to take care of myself. Because sometimes that moment of overwhelm is that breakthrough of you being able to say no. Enough. I don't have enough to give. I've now reached that threshold. And now you're becoming that new person who has that boundaries, right? Who is able to be present, isn't exhausted all the time. So sometimes that's what that breakthrough is for you. So your system is now just recalibrating to be able to hold more. And that's not failure. That is freaking progress. So you need to affirm out loud, I am being stretched, not stressed. My overwhelm is proof that I am growing stronger. This overwhelm is helping me reassess what's important in my life. That's a big one. And my favorite one is, God is giving me exactly what I prayed for. It just looks a little bit different than what I expected. So remind yourself, capacity grows through challenge, not comfort. You need that tension and feeling of overwhelm in order to actually grow and learn how to manage that, how to change your systems, your mindset, your perspective, your health, whatever it might be, to grow. Capacity only grows through challenge, not comfort, through tension, through pressure. And you are not alone. You are not broken. Overwhelm is part of becoming someone who can hold more success, create more impact, experience more peace, have more strength, be healthier, be happier, be a joy to be around. The version of you that has what you want had to pass through this valley too. The person you want to become had to go through these challenges, these moments of discomfort, the stretch, the capacity growth season, so that you could get to the other side. So you could be the person that you were always created to be and do the things that you were destined to do. But this doesn't happen if we constantly avoid overwhelm. And so for myself, there were multiple points of overwhelm in my life. There was a point of overwhelm when I started my own business. That was scary. It was new, right? I didn't know what I was doing yet. There was a lot of moving parts. There was so many reasons that was overwhelming. I've, needed to change the way I was functioning, the way I was thinking, going from like employee to business owner, CEO, manager, right? It was big. When I lost my mom, that was probably one of the biggest seasons of overwhelm for myself. Dang it. Because you're learning to function as a person who no longer has their mom here. Your identity changes. I had no more parents. And so that's new. And there's grief. And your nervous system is firing off like crazy. My old ways of learning to cope with stress and grief, I needed to upgrade those because what I was experiencing, what I still experience, requires new coping mechanisms and ways to heal. I reached a new capacity of what I knew pain was. But I also now know that I can handle it and it's a part of life and that it helps me love people more. Losing her taught me so much. It still teaches me stuff. The kind of parent that I want to be. It's a lot easier to say no to things because I know life is short. It's easier to say yes to healthier options and the lifestyle I want to live, the legacy that I want to leave behind. There is so much that happens in these moments of overwhelm. So while it might suck in the moment and it feels like your world is caving in and it is just so painful and so exhausting and you would just beg to feel anything else, literally anything else, it is an opportunity for growth. And it's an opportunity to be a new version of yourself. It is an opportunity to reassess things and decide, is this really how I want to live my life? It is not always a bad thing. And sometimes we have to feel it. But you will grow through it. You will learn so much. You will use it as a tool to empower you to do things that matter. And so I want you to remember that you are not alone, ever. Overwhelm does not mean to stop. It is a sign to reassess. It is just your body telling you you have reached your current capacity, that you're doing something new or uncomfortable, that systems or boundaries need an upgrade, that you are expanding who you are, and that is good. That is good. You are not doing something wrong. You don't have to wait until life calms down. You are right on the cusp of change and becoming someone completely new. And that should be one of the most exciting and empowering things that you can imagine or feel. That pain will improve. That feeling of overwhelm will get better. But you are so close to who you want to be. We just need to figure out, what is that overwhelm actually telling you? I love you. I hope this was helpful. We'll get back to hormone stuff on the next day. Make sure you like and subscribe, share with your friends. I love you so, so much, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.